What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of God Damn. I can't explain how excited I am for today. I got this guest coming on today, Bobby Light.
Yo.
Welcome, Bobby Light. Super happy to have you here.
Yo, thank you, man.
Bobby Light. So I'm gonna sort of preface this with a little introduction on you real quick. We've known each other for quite a while, I would say, a few years now. You're the youngest guest on this show so far. The show, as I've told you, it's unscripted, unedited, and we're just gonna, hit some topics. The topics, I don't even know yet, but I'm excited because the whole idea for me on this show is to get somebody who has what I would consider a plethora of experience to kind of draw from and maybe help inspire others. And so with you, what comes to mind is, I'm sure you've heard the expression, I can only describe what you have as the ultimate life hack. Because I'm sure everybody's heard at one time or another in their life, the person who loves what they do never works a day in their life. And as long as I've known you, you've always been a very creative person. On a more technical note, the living that you provide for yourself has always been pretty well self-sustained. You've gone to places and you've experimented a little bit, different tattoo shops, but I've gotten tattoos from you, out of little rooms, maybe your van at one point, I don't even know, but you have this really awesome nomadic sort of free lifestyle from my perspective. And I think that speaks to, that whole expression, and I'm curious to sort of get your thoughts on that as far as do you feel like you're working a day in your life? And what is it that you really do?
Shoot, well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Damn, I'm really humbled, man. You always have such kind of things to say. Yeah, man, I just think, foremost, life is just super short. And from the moment we're old enough to understand anything, people are just telling us what to do and trying to set our life up as how they see it and the ideal that has been chosen for us without our consent. And yeah, I've just always been kind of a rebel, man. Just had that spirit, dude. I don't know, man.
So were you kind of led that way? Did you have parents or teachers or even bosses at early stages of your life saying that you should do this or you should go do this with your life, kind of thing, and you experienced it and were like, maybe I don't have any interest in this?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Or was it just out of the gate? You were like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah, kind of out of the gate, man. I had a couple real jobs, like working at a call center and working at Subway and just some really things that did not enrich my soul in any way. And I was looking at people who had been doing it for 10, 20 years and they were just depressed and trying to tell themselves all kinds of lies to convince themselves that they're happy doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I've also just had, I've had a lot of friends pass really young, and I lost my dad, my grandpa, and just realizing that I don't want to play this game that's set up, man. It's there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point in it, and it's we should all really just have fun and live our lives. And I've definitely given up a lot of things. I don't know, just I don't have credit, I don't have a mortgage, and whatever, all that junk, credit card.
Right.
How
does that make you feel? Do you?
Sometimes I get down on myself a little bit, but
that's fair.
And then I remind myself that it does take some courage to try to go out there,
Yeah.
And I'm not totally self-made, I have a good network, I have a good mom, and
yeah, support is crucial.
Yeah.
What is it that you do? I know I've, contributed to your cause through multiple hours of tattoo sessions. I know you do art. You do your own screen printing. You make shirts. I have a few of those in my closet. I love Bobby Light. Your household name in my house, in my family. Even my little 4-year-old, if I say I'm gonna go get a tattoo, he's like, "You're gonna go see Bobby Light?" And it just, that. And while I'm here on this little subject, I'm going to go ahead and take a second to say, as far as tattoo artist goes, if I could have you be my exclusive artist for the rest of my life, I don't think I would ever get work done from anyone else. And people always ask me, too, when hey, who does your artwork, man? Because you hear that a lot. For whatever reason, people see your tattoos. Who does all your tattoos? And it's like, well, Bobby Light. I wish I could say, but you did all of these. When I was younger, I had this, image that I think the more you pay and the better someone's lines look and blah, 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 all these things contribute to having a more valuable piece of art on your body, and that's just really not what it's about. That being said, your lines are perfect, but what it is to me is like these things that are, stamped into your skin, it's not just for other people, and sometimes it's not for other people at all. And so when I look at my tattoos, I think of sitting in your house or your van or the shop. Well, we've been in all of it, and thinking about the cool conversations that we've had, and just laughing about stuff, and just how cool of a person you are. And I can't sit with an artist that I don't like, man. After that, you fucked me up. You know what I mean? Because if I don't vibe with someone, I don't want them putting their their stamp on me.
Totally, man.
So that was I digress.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you.
Because I just had to go off, and the whole point of that was to kind of get the idea of what it is that you do, that provides you with whatever kind of lifestyle you're trying to live.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, man. And it does take I survive off my friends, buying my art and getting tattooed by me and trusting me to do tattoos and. Trusting me with their body, that is a big honor. I'm always trying to be super conscious and aware of dang, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I think in tattooing and art, especially with AI art and all that, it's trying to be, people see something good and they want to make money off of it. Corporations see something good, they're gonna try to make a lot of money off of it. So I see in really all kinds of industries, in art and tattooing, that they're trying to corporatize it and make it real dumbed down and soulless.
Ed Hardy, perfect example.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I personally think Ed Hardy's a really cool artist, and I think he was a real trendsetter and revolutionary in his art, and then he sold some of it to a clothing manufacturer, and they blew it up, and now people who don't even get tattoos are wearing it on their shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's just tattooing, a lot of art is a folk art. It's made by the people, for the people, out of everyday struggle in life, and it has deep meaning, cultural value, it reminds you of your childhood. I don't think it should be a logo for a company,
Absolutely.
It's there's no heart in that. So yeah, I've worked in tattoo shops, and I just think I've seen people in tattoo shops breaking health code on a daily basis, and I do believe 100% that I can do it better in a sterile, controlled environment.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not about money. It's about the experience and, just living life, having fun, fucking creating every day, man.
Yeah. And giving it to others.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there's a real aspect to it, cultural, spiritual even, And we're going to get into that because of the whole title of this show, goddamn. I'm sure by now you've already kind of heard the premise about it.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that, but I think this is a good segue from what you just talked about, even going back to you talking about losing friends at a young age and your father I think lends some perspective into the importance of values, and I would have a hard time imagining a better scenario to help people understand where values come into play for an overall fulfilling life. And forgive me for the long-winded sentiment here, but I think for me, it's a very relevant topic currently in my life, because I've had to reevaluate my own life, within the past few years, and I'm really happy where I'm at now. And relatively, I was selling drugs for 10 years, the better part of a decade, and I didn't really ever think about what my values were, and if I did now, I would say that the actions that I was taking did not reflect the values. I, even then, wouldn't say that money was that important of a value to me. Right now, it's not even in my top 10 values. And I think, the people working at Subway, I don't know if it's theirs either. It is for some people. Everybody has different values, I always encourage people to take a step back, especially if they're feeling kind of like stagnant or not happy with what they're doing, to really ask them, like, what are your values? Question one. Question two, how are those values reflected in the things that you do, whether it be for a living or just your daily actions?
Yeah, is it just words, or are you actually living by it?
Yeah. And like, I'm gonna ask you those two questions, but like, for an example, my main value, what I consider to be my main value, is love. Love for others, love for myself, and you've never said anything about this. We haven't just talked about our values like this, but I think just with the amount of conversation that we've had, I would imagine that that's a pretty high value for you too, just because of the way you interact with other people, are willing to go out of your way to help other people, There's the type of person that will get out of their car to help an old lady across the street, or there's the kind of person that will honk at them to be like, yo, old lady, hurry the fuck up, you know what I mean? And I would say you're definitely closer to the former on that one.
Thank you, bro.
So, I mean, well, if you can, no pressure, but if you can think about what it is you do right now and your most important values to yourself, where are you at on that? Or do you feel like your values are jiving with your actions?
Man,
I know it's a deep question here, man. I
Appreciate
want to
it.
throw you off guard there.
No, for sure, man. That's a constant, you really got to wake up and set your mind to that every day, because it is easy to, get off track and get angry, get upset in traffic or whatever. But yeah, man, I do, love is the biggest value for me, man. Yeah, man, the world is so cold, man. Everybody's got a chip on their shoulder, and everybody feels like they feel like they've been hurt. They feel entitled. What they don't understand all the time is that when they feel hurt, then they end up hurting somebody else that might not have
Deserved it.
Yeah,
hurt people,
yeah,
right?
totally. That's 100%, man. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not a perfect person. I get upset too, and I'm like, fuck that guy,
Yeah.
fucking, that the MAGA dude in the big truck. I'm like, God, what an asshole.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? You take a moment, and you're like, that's just a little kid, he's scared, and he thinks being all tough and, wearing that American flag or whatever makes him a man, and,
Yeah.
his dad probably beat his ass for being having long hair when he was a little kid or something,
Yeah.
So I try not to hate those people, try to, like, have a little mercy for them. But, yeah, man, it's like, gotta think, like, where we're going, It's like,
Yeah.
So all the hate's not really getting us anywhere, dude.
No. And your insight into some of the things that we've talked about, it is very similar to my own, just because, I think that you have the ability, even as you just described, to at least empathize, or sort of, presume that you don't know everything. but throughout conversation with each other, we've both kind of gotten hung up on certain things. Example would be, you know, like everything you taught me, the Holocaust and the one going on now. It's hard for people like you and I to understand that kind of thing because it's not in any way tied to the value, which is our main value, and it's really, really hard, especially, and, while we're getting to this, because of the nature of this podcast, it is centered around, God and different individuals' understanding of them. You're a very interesting person to have on this show because I always say, and at this point, this day and age, there's a pretty common understanding of the difference between spirituality and religion, right? But what I've seen from you is a lot of spirituality, and also there's a lot of religious things that I would honestly not have assumed were there. The first time I actually really learned about it was when I asked you to do my Gato Lupe tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Guadalupe, right? But with the face of a cat.
I remember that.
And I thought you would think that was the coolest thing ever, and then you told me, you're like, man, I don't remember the exact words you said, but you were just like, for my, own spiritual sake, I'm not gonna do that. So I would like to kind of get to the bottom of like what do you think? I'm not gonna pop the question on you yet, but
Totally.
as far as your spirituality and your religious beliefs, how do you think those go together?
Totally, man. I appreciate you bringing that up, man. I think foremost with any kind of ideology is like you gotta trust your heart. Trust your heart. No matter who it is, it's your parents, it's your preacher, it's the Pope telling you something. It's like trust your heart. Don't just like believe something because that's what everybody's saying. Yeah, for me, man, it's like by blood, I'm Jewish. That's something that's always been, I wasn't raised religious. It's something that's always just been there. Like, just second nature. Very, like, I just pick up on things naturally. I went to Sunday school, but not so much.
So when you say you pick up on things naturally, like you hear certain...
It's just like Judaism is very ingrained into my soul, I would say. It's just on the level of like having a relationship with spirit and just loving people naturally, being gentle. For me, I was really turned away from religion, at a young age, seeing, reading about the Inquisition and
Right.
just things like that. It's just like, those people call themselves Christians and it's like that. And I was like,
It doesn't
doesn't
flow with your values.
Yeah, no. So I embraced like Satanism, whatever that means, because it was
Right.
anti-Christian, it was anti-hate towards Muslims, it was so it's been a long path, man, but I don't see any differentiation. I think that all religions, once you take away all the dogma and all the bullshit and all the selfishness of mankind that twists things for their own agenda, it really is all about love,
Yeah.
It's like a recognition that we're all, like, God is one, That's really God is one,
Yeah.
I think words talking about God and it just, God is so vast and so beyond any concept of words can explain. It just does a disservice.
Yeah. How can you wrap your head around something like that?
Yeah.
That's why I asked that
Yeah.
question.
But I think it's a real natural thing, I think little kids know what God is, little kids
Yeah.
know right from wrong, it's like we're born with that sense of, like little kids are, screaming and crying when a certain, commercial comes on or something, and
Yeah.
it's like why are they? But they sense something, they
Yeah.
sense it's wrong.
Right. And little kids, they don't, until the world views of the people around them are instilled in them. You don't see kids going around hating each other for being different color, you know,
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I feel like that's, you know, speaks to the truth of what you're saying.
Thanks, man.
Is that where you know, I like that. I like that a lot, man.
Thank you, man.
So as far as you pretty much are already well along the line of dancing on this. So I feel like it's a little late to ask what is God to you, but we're gonna continue with that because we'll just pretend like I just asked that, or I'll ask you now. What is God to you, Bobby Light? And then we'll just cut this piece and throw it back. No, I'm just playing. But I like to try to seek understanding on this because I think, you know, your spiritual health is an important part of your health. You know, it's not the only part. You know, there's a lot of different aspects to it, but it is an important part. And I think you have some good insight to lend. So just for me, to clarify a little bit as far as the whole, you know, Judaism thing, how was that growing up? Like, did you have bar mitzvah? Was it like, were you raised pretty Jewish? Old Testament. You said you went to Bible school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I wasn't raised very religious. Like, I would say I have a close, almost, you know, not to say my parents, but I feel like I have a better understanding of God and spirituality than my parents, and it was something that's just natural.
So you didn't need their encouragement to go seek into it?
No, it's just always, I was praying when I was a little kid. I remember talking to God when I was like 5 years old, you know, praying like, oh God, I'll never do that again. Like, please, like,
Yeah.
you know, and it wasn't, I never went to church, like, nothing, man.
Just kind of born with that connection.
Yeah,
to
man,
it.
born with it. And I turned away from it, you know, because I saw the evil done, you know, by these people claiming to be religious. And
Yeah.
but I really realized, you know, like, I really think Jesus was a badass, you know, like he went into the temple and flipped the table, you know, he's like, get this shit out of here, dude. It's like, you think you're religious? You think you can speak for God and you're selling shit in the temple? Like, nah, dude, like, you know, so, and then like people, you know, it's mankind wants to control something. They see the power of religion, the power of the Bible, and they're like, oh, let's use that for our own good. But
Yeah.
it's like you can never change the essence of it, because it's love and it's goodness and
It's just like what you
just
said
is,
with the
you know?
tattoos. Once people see a way to, you know, make something for themselves out of it, and that greed steps in, right? That's
what
not
it is, man.
is what I'm picking up that you're saying.
Totally, man. Yeah, it's greed. You know, I'm really anti like orthodoxy, you know. I think a lot of stuff is just, it's for show, you know.
Yeah.
And they've lost the actual essence and the purpose of like why we go to church and why we pray to God, you know. It's like, it's just like a show of face, you know, and they don't really mean what they're saying, you know. It's like you can look in a pastor's eyes and tell if they're actually in the spirit, you know. It's like, it's a physical thing. I like Rastafari is a really big thing for me, you know. Rastafari got me really into my Judaism through the connections, and it showed me like a different path. You know, mostly like one blood, you know, unity, the idea that we can't do it alone.
This is Rastafari that you're explaining to me, okay.
Basically in my
Explain it a
understanding.
little bit, because I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, so Rastafari comes from the Solomonic dynasty. In the Kebra Nagast, which is the Book of Kings in the Ethiopian church, they say 3,000 years ago, King Solomon had a son with the Queen of Sheba, who is an African queen. And basically they started a branch of like Judaism mixed with African beliefs and became a kingdom in Ethiopia. And that kingdom reigned for 3,000 years into the modern age, with the descendants of King Solomon being the king and queen at all time, passed on.
Continuous lineage.
Yeah, continuous lineage.
To today.
To today, yeah.
Okay.
And
You
so
said
it's
one blood.
yeah, one blood,
Is
man.
that what
So
that comes from? Is that continuous lineage?
well,
or-
no, not necessarily. The one blood is it's this recognition that all of humankind originates in Africa.
Okay.
That no matter what race you are, we can all trace our lineage back to Africa. We all have one blood, you know. There's one starting point for humanity, you know. It's not like we evolved separately, you know. And
So there's no mnemonic belief there that there's any superiority of a race.
no,
Cool.
no,
man.
you know, people get it a little twisted and think it's like a black supremacy thing.
Yeah.
You have to be African and black
Well,
to be a Rasta.
That's not what I was picking up, but I don't want there to be any confusion
Yeah, no.
for the viewers, you know,
Yeah.
because mnemonics is prevalent in other
Mnemonic, can
cultures.
you explain that? Mnemonic, I haven't.
Mnemonics,
Just
the
superiority.
idea, you know, generally practiced and researched by, let's say, like Hitler and his Third
Yeah,
Reich.
yeah, just superiority, yeah.
Right, and they actually got that from America at the time. The way that they're trying to, you know, instill the prejudice and kind of cast out a system of people based on their race, they kind of learned that from what was happening in America with black people.
Yeah,
So they were picking up on, like, you know, segregation and all these things, and they're like, that's what we need to fucking do.
Yeah.
Mnemonics, because the belief that there is an inferior or superior race.
yeah.
So what you're telling me is basically the opposite of that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, that's bullshit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck that shit.
Fuck that shit, yeah. Yo, yeah, man. I really think it boils down to, like, in this age, you know, 2024, 21st century, like, that's what we're dealing with now. We thought all this racial discrimination and prejudice and systematic, you know,
Oppression.
yeah, it was over. And a lot of people like to believe that because it's nice and it you know, makes them feel good inside.
Right.
But that's,
Ignorance is bliss.
yeah, man. But that's not the case, you know, and we can't just pretend things aren't happening. Because that doesn't make it better. So we gotta figure this shit out for our children, you know, for the next,
Absolutely.
for ourselves too. Because man, we could end this shit tomorrow with, you know, nuclear war. You know, it's like,
100%. There's enough weapons on the planet to end it 1,500 times over.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, and it really blows my mind and really sets my whole perception that, like, the people running the planet, the people in charge of the planet with all the money, they're the ones who created all these bombs. And, you know, you'd think that they would be smart enough to know what would happen with those bombs and what the shit they're doing, but there's, you know, I don't know, you know, they must, you know, but
Yeah.
it's just like, those are the people running the world, man. So it's like, we can't bow down to that or, like, go along with it because it's
Yeah. Or even, you know, and I say this knowing that I'm guilty of it myself, at least from time to time, turn a blind eye to it.
yeah,
And I think there's a barrier there where you feel like at a certain point, what can you do about it? What can I myself as one single person do about it? And, like, that's just enough for everyone to think that way, that nobody's going to try to do anything about it, right? Because when I say I'm guilty of it, I didn't even know.
Totally.
I didn't even know about the whole Palestine thing until you taught me about it like a month ago. And that shit blew my mind. And I'm still mind blown. And I think a lot of it was I was hearing little snippets of it. You know, I got my Facebook hacked, so I don't get any kind of news like that. And it's not something that I seek out because, like you said, man, these things, they don't feel good, especially to someone like me, man. Like, it hurts my heart. It makes me feel frustrated that there is a whole, by the way, eugenics is the word, not
Or
mnemonics.
eugenics.
I think I was saying mnemonics.
I think eugenics.
Is it
I
eugenics?
think so. Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
what you
Eugenics,
Yeah.
eugenics, whatever, mnemonics. Words are just things.
said. Yeah.
Anyway, that's probably why you didn't.
Totally.
Just to clarify that.
Gotcha.
Eugenics, there we
Yep.
go. Eugenics, the superior, whatever. That there's that kind of thing still going on, and that so many people buy into it and support and encourage, and then turn around and teach their kids to do the same thing. It breaks my heart, and what can you do? Like, what can we do, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I know, dude.
Let's do it right now.
It's a good question, man.
I think this is a cool little step.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, we gotta talk about it, man. I think, yeah, like you said, like, the average person, like, the genocide in Palestine, it's like, man, we're so overwhelmed with so much media and all kinds of stuff. We're not supposed to be working as hard as we are, Humans aren't supposed to be going through this, so it's like, we don't have the time or the perception to, like, always, like, think about what other people are going through.
We're just trying to make it.
Yeah, we're just trying to make it, not everybody's, it's not like we're guilty of, not caring, but, and then on top of that, you got the media who purposefully lie. You grow up listening to lies on the radio and the news and TV, and it's like, you really don't know what to believe, and just like the gall of these corporations to, like, lie to children and people, and to push these, like, hateful ideas. I just think about, like, man, there was so much propaganda, obviously, by the Nazis. Like, they were masters of propaganda. They were masters of mind control.
Absolutely.
And they had this program of, before World War II, before the Holocaust, it was like years and years of propaganda against Jewish people, It got...
And the Hitler Youth?
Yeah.
They
got it.
indoctrined. They were indoctrined.
Yeah, from a young age.
Just like what you told me is going on right now in Palestine.
Yep.
And they're indoctrinated. Like, when you're that young and impressionable, what kind of power do you have to question and stand up to these
your parents
beliefs?
And everything.
Yeah.
Telling you that. Israel, for example, if you want to get into it, every child in Israel has to serve military service after they graduate high school for 2 years, at least. And if you don't serve military service, if you choose to be peaceful and not kill people, then they put you in prison. And there are people in Israel serving time in prison for not joining the military. What blows my mind, seeing of all the people, in the world to commit genocide, it's like, to see Jewish people doing it is overwhelming. It's insane. I can't fathom it. But I understand it because this whole system of propaganda has twisted their minds into thinking that the only way that they can be safe is to have their own country. What they don't see is that there are already people living in that country, and to try to have, like, some kind of freedom and like a place for your people to finally have peace and freedom, and you're gonna take away somebody else's land and somebody else's right to be free, and then
Just
you're gonna
like what happened to you?
you're gonna torture and kill them for 75 years, and then not expect them to try to fight back, just like, they don't have a military, man. It's like, and I don't support Hamas. I don't support violence of any kind. But, like, indoctrination, like, you see, like, you're growing up in Palestine as a little kid, getting bombed, your family's getting killed around you. It's like, what are you gonna think, Like, the only Jewish people you ever know are the soldiers that come and harass you, soldiers that bulldoze your house down, It's like, that would fill me with a lot of rage and anger too, and it's like,
Absolutely.
It's like, what do they expect, It's like
a stepdad who beats your mom and expects you not to want to fight him when you grow up.
Yeah. Exactly, man.
Yeah.
It's so simple, and it's like, I think it's really clear, It's like, I think all the propaganda gets in the way, and that whole, like, fear of being anti-Semitic, talking out against Israel is such bullshit,
Well, I think for you, there's something to be said about your connection to, being Jewish. I mean, you have the Star of David tattooed on your face, so I can only imagine for you especially to see this thing happening, and you know, I don't know if it's right for me to say your people. Would it be correct to say your people kind of, you know, doing this to see
I don't want
to
to
see
say
it,
but yeah.
you know, well, I mean, from my perspective,
No,
because
totally,
I understand
yeah.
how you
No, it
feel, but
disgusts
you
me, man.
also, you know, are representing yourself as someone who's Jewish, and to see other people representing themselves as Jewish to be doing something
Totally.
like this, you can't back that up. And my feeling is that you're embarrassed by it, or ashamed, or angry about it, because that's like representing you in a way. And you don't want that.
Yeah, totally, man.
You don't want that to be the representation of you.
Totally, man. And I don't want to be selfish in saying that it's like, you know, that the biggest part of it is defending my Judaism, because, like, yeah, I am ashamed and I'm disgusted, but it's not, you know, I'm not suffering from that. It's like, I want to show that Jewish identity is totally different than that, you know, for people, because, you know, all of that causes anti-Semitism, you know, all of that hate, and they say, like, well, look what the Israelis are doing. Those are Jewish people, and, you know, they're, you know, it's like, so, yeah, no, I want to stand up for the values of Judaism, what it really stands for, just, which is universal love, and, like, just loving life, you know, being creative, and enjoying the gifts we've been given, you know.
Absolutely. That's really cool, man.
And, yeah, man.
I think you have a really, really cool, you know, when I'm thinking, because we're gonna wrap this up on a summation of what the kind of idea I have. Your idea of God is almost like a little melting pot of all the best ideas, you know, to you from different religions and from your life experiences. Some Rastafari we learned about. I like that a lot, man. One blood. I really do.
Yeah. One blood, one heart, one destiny.
I love it.
You know?
I love it. One people.
Yeah, one people, man.
That's really cool. I really like that, and that's good insight, man. Is there anything else that I feel like I could be missing, or that you would want the people to know about, as far as the question of what God is to you and your understanding?
Yeah, man.
Or do you think we covered it?
Man, I would just, like, I could go on forever and talk about God, you know, forever.
Yeah.
Because that's really what makes me the happiest. I think the biggest thing, if I could, like, humbly, like, imbue some sort of wisdom on people, is just, like, you don't need church to go to God. You don't need a pastor. Like, I really resonate with that. Like, the kingdom of heaven is within. You know, we are made in the image of God. Like, God is just everything. God is. There's no God is, you know. So, like, it's just the glory is ever present, you know. It's like,
it's in you right now.
Yeah, and it's
in
love.
me right now.
Yeah, totally, man. I think, like, love is a creative force in the galaxy, you know, the universe, you know. Hate destroys. No matter what, hate will always destroy. You can't build a civilization on hate, you know. So, yeah, I would just say, like, yeah, love and be patient with people. Be patient with yourself, you know. And just take it slow, you know. Be humble and don't take yourself so serious, you know.
Yeah. Keep growing, keep learning.
Yeah, dude.
Cool, man. Well, I think we're about I just feel like we're about there. I don't even know. But I want to say, because of the nature of what it is that you do, I just want to let the people know, Bobby Light, if you're looking for a tattoo, Bobby Light is your man. That's it. I wouldn't, like I said earlier, and I wholeheartedly mean this, I'm not just trying to hype you up. I will go to nobody else, just because for the fact your God bleeds into me, dude. Like, just, and I mean that in a real way. Do you have any kind of promotional, you know, content that you want to get out to the viewers before we close this out, like an Instagram link or anything like that? I'm gonna practice. If you do, I'm gonna say,
totally, man.
I'm gonna be like, here, check out this Instagram
I
link
appreciate you, man.
right here. This Instagram link, boom, Bobby Light right here.
Yeah, I would say my Instagram. I survive mostly on tattoos, but I do screen printing, my own stuff or your own designs. Really any kind of art. The best way to get in contact with me is my Instagram. It's Ayin.tattooer, and that's AYIN.tattooer. And Ayin is a Hebrew word that basically describes the infinite void of blackness that existed before creation, and it's just a wellspring of infinite possibilities. I'd also give a shout out to the best nonprofit music promotion in the world, Blast and Scrap, putting on local shows in northern Colorado. Check them out. Donation based, get in for free. There's nobody's turned away. So yeah, man, and just yeah, that's all I got for you, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for having me, dude.
Dude, you are
It's
the
fucking
one.
dope, bro.
The only Bobby Light. The one and only Bobby Light. Thank you, guys. All right. Very good. All right, guys. As always, goodbye forever. Until next time. Goddamn.